it's kind of the most Katie and me thing ever. We're infamous Twitter trolls and had garnered enough attention of each other. But I had a podcast before and kind of just told this story about how Kevin is a normal guy, and I get it. And it should be something that we appreciate and notice. Even all the way going back to his free agency, to hit it off as friends, and it turned into, well, you got a media company and I work in media. Maybe we might as well just do something. And my goal always was like, yo, those conversations we're having in those times, like we can just have them now. Like I want people to see that Kevin Durant, and I feel like they do. I've had a lot of people telling me that, and I feel like we've accomplished some of that.
I found it really funny how KD was the one who hopped in your DMs first, showing you love off the podcast and you giving him props. How did your initial impression change to now that you've established a really good relationship with him?
What I always tell people is he's so normal, I almost lose sight of, yo, this is KD. I almost had to be reminded that this is a big deal to people because we had been friends for so long and it just been so cool for so long. You almost lose sight of that, right? That's just the guy, the tall guy you kick it with at some point. But I think that's what kind of most surprised me, just how normal he could be. And but again, that's like what I wanted to introduce to his fans, to people who aren't his fans, because I thought that's endearing. And I think, the new age of celebrity is like, we watch regular people become wild celebrities on YouTube and they're just like grocery shopping, or there's like a lady on TikTok who's just like, she's feeding her kids and talking, and now she's a celebrity. So normalcy is like the new extraordinary. And I'm like, yeah, there's a ton of that. Let's see that.
Have you been starstruck at all with any of the guests? If so, I guess which were you most starstruck with?
Second season, we've done most of them in person, but I've still kind of remained measured. But when I finally met Kyrie, that was one of the ones that was like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. This is a special guy. This is dope. And going to the game last week, his first game at Barclays in quite some time, that was one of those like, oh, that's Kyrie Irving over there. All our guests have been super chill, and Kevin is he's my cheat there. They're just comfortable to be around him, and so it makes it way easier for me.
I think that when Kyrie said, we don't even need a coach, I think there was context there throughout the episode that led up to that answer, and then was after that answer that kind of got lost. But when you hear that in the moment, do your ears kind of perk up, or do you have any thoughts on it? Like, oh man, this is gonna go.
I mean, you guys know, is when you get that money quote from somebody you're talking to, you're interviewing, you know it right away. So the funny thing is, it wasn't even that one to me. When he's talking last shot at the end of the game, him and Kevin, that was the money quote to me. Or he's talking the famous spin move on Steph, that's the money quote to me. I mean, that episode was fun. It was super last minute. It was like, they were at practice and Kevin texted me. He's like, yo, Kai wants to do the show. Let's set it up. And we ended up with 3 hours of content that we whittled down, I think 2.5. But it was great. I mean, hopefully we get to do it again soon. Kai said he's down. So let's see if I can get him on and make it happen.
Because you're so active on Twitter, there's Knicks Twitter, there's Nets Twitter, there's a rivalry among the fan bases, the rivalry between the teams. It's one-sided right now. But more so like Twitter. Do you get into Knicks Twitter, Net Twitter, and what are your thoughts there? And do you have fun with that?
Oh, I try to be as active as I can. I mean, I think I owe a Knicks fan a jersey. So on one of those videos outside the Garden, I got to send him a signed KD jersey for all of the taunting he was doing. But I mean, it's fun. And like you said, the rivalry's one-sided right now. So it's fun like that too for me. I'm excited to get out to the Garden this week and see it in person and see what happens. I mean, the Knicks have been fighting lately, so everybody shows up to play the Nets. I hate it. That's all part of it. That's all fun. I went to both Knicks games at Barclays, and it started like a Garden crowd, and then it ended like a Nets crowd.
Yeah, honestly, I've been to so many Net games, and this year particularly, the crowd has not been one-sided from a Knick perspective as it has been in past years. You hear more Net fans this year. It's more neutral this year, so that's impressive. I actually have one follow-up, Eddie. I need to know this. The fan that's going to get the signed jersey from you, you heard taunts. What did you hear? Was there anything good?
Of course it wasn't good. It was one of those videos outside the Garden. He's cussing Kevin out and saying you should have chose the Knicks or whatever. I had to find the video. I promise the guy jersey. I love it. I love all that stuff, man. I love Twitter and the way we can all joke with each other. Like I said earlier about Chris, I've definitely poked and prodded at Chris. He's done the same to me. And, you know, it's all fun and games on there. And guys are passionate about their Knicks, and I get it. And the city's better when the Knicks are better. You know, the last season when they were making a run into the playoffs, there was an energy around it. So, I mean, I want them to be as good as they could be. I would love to see a series. I would love to see a Subway series out here. But, you know, hopefully we get that next year. But, yeah, I got to find that guy. If you're out there and you see this, DM me again. I remember. I just got to get it out to you.